Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you. Let's get right on into it. All right, folks, we're going to talk about Ryan Day being on the hot seat. I know that sounds crazy, but that's what they're saying. Also, Nico, we're going to have a little Heisman talk. That's right. We're going to talk about things that are way too early, but they need to be discussed. Now, I'm getting started a little late again. It's the weekend. You know, I get stuck at work.
Drink it up, big boss. All right, drink it up, gambler.
That's right. You know, so it is what it is. I have to do these shows later than I like to. And before we get started, I do want to let you know I have been made aware of a rather vicious sneak attack by one that goes by the name of Jackpot that hails in the land of Carolina.
They were missing 2 tackles, and he got it handed to him just a little bit.
Bunch 6 times, which is way too many.
Yeah, got sacked 6 times. I'm gonna tell you, everybody's still singing his praises, right?
Yeah, just completely out of the blue. He starts talking about Nico and how he's not all this, he's not all that. Now, needless to say, there shall be a response.
Revenge is a dish that is best served cold. It is very cold in space.
But it'll all come in due time. But let's get into this show. And this is a story on Cleveland.com by Nathan Baird. It says, Ryan Day's nearing the most important decision of his Buckeye future. And it talks about Ryan Day is going to give up control of his offense to an offensive coordinator, and why this piqued my interest so much. Now, look, I hear from a lot of Ohio State fans, and there is a percentage of them, a very vocal percentage, that would like to see him fired. That's just a fact. He's lost to Michigan 3 times in a row, and that's grounds for firing. I don't care if he's won every other game. It does not matter. You have to win that game. Now, I've cut him some slack on 2 of those because of the whole Connor Stallion sign-stealing mess and all that. And, I do want to mention, I have been getting viciously attacked again, not by the Jackpot dude. I have been getting attacked big time also by the Michigan people because I brought up the fact that J.J. McCarthy started talking about the sign-stealing crap, which just absolutely shocked me. I could not believe he literally discussed that with the media. What are you doing? I would have said, and I can't believe he was not told to say this, talk to the administration about that. I don't have anything to do with that. I'm busy trying to bring a natty to Ann Arbor, which is what he should be talking about. Why he brought that up, I have no idea. Well, I brought that up in a show, so did every other journalist known to man. I'm not really a journalist. I'm just a regular dude. But they all brought it up. It's like, what are you doing?
Hello?
But the fact that I brought it up, oh, how dare you? JJ's the guy. I'm sure he's a great guy, but he shouldn't be talking about sign stealing. The way he talked about it made it sound like he might have been aware of it. Well, he almost had to be to some level. Now, I don't know if he was aware that the guy was sending people off with smartphones and doing all that kind of stuff. I don't know. But he sure was aware that they were trying to catch up with Ohio State and all that. It's like, you got to be kidding me. He should not have discussed that. And somebody at Michigan should have told him that.
The moose out front should have told you.
And it should have been Jim Harbaugh. And I know he's trying to do the whole free Harbaugh thing, but Harbaugh should have sat him down and said, don't even talk about that crap. Just focus on the game. So anyway, to those Michigan fans, look, he brought it up, not me. So anyway, talking about Ryan Day, here's the thing that concerns me about bringing in an offensive coordinator, giving up control of the offense and all that kind of stuff. Almost every time that happens, if it doesn't work out the next year, the head coach gets fired. And you don't have to look very far to see that. Jimbo Fisher brought in Bobby Petrino. And I told you when that happened, I said, you better look out. Because if this doesn't work out with Bobby Petrino, he will be gone faster than you can imagine. And I don't care if it did cost him $78 million. They chucked him. That's a very risky move, although it's usually a move you have to do. And it's because the offense did kind of sputter. And I think that was partly because he didn't really have the ideal quarterback for that offense. You need a dual threat quarterback nowadays. You must have that. And I don't really think Kyle McCord was really quite down that path. Now, they brought in a new guy, Will Howard from Kansas State, who is a running quarterback and a very good one. Now, he's decent passer. You know, he threw 24 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. But the guy has rushed for 19 touchdowns, and he's a big dude, and he will get the job done running the ball. So I think when you get 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1, you'll get that because he'll just take care of it himself. Or the 4th and 2, when you're on the other side of the 50, you'll go for it because that dude will get it for you. Because that's what these running quarterbacks can do. And we'll talk about that when we discuss Nico. But anyway, I thought that was a good pickup for Ohio State. A little risky, but I think it makes more sense to go get a guy that's played a lot that you can count on. And they do have another guy, Devin Brown. We didn't get to see him because he got hurt against Missouri. Now, Ohio State's defense looked fantastic in that game. They kept a very tough offense from scoring for 3 quarters. Missouri's tricky. I'm telling you, they can score on just about anybody. That Brady Cook has a lot of moxie, and it's really hard to keep him down. And they had no trouble keeping them to goose egg for 3 quarters. Then finally the defense got exhausted because the offense could do nothing for Ohio State. And that's why quarterback is so key. Y'all are loaded with 5-star wide receivers, but if you don't have the right quarterback in there, and y'all had a true freshman in there kind of thrown to the wolves because McCord had left and Brown had gotten hurt. So you had to put a true freshman in, and he couldn't do a whole lot. And it was kind of a deer in headlights situation, and Missouri's got a good defense. You know, they're going to wear out a true freshman. So I like the pickup of Will Howard. I think that's going to serve you pretty well. But I think you're also going to find, now that we've got a 12-team playoff, that this Michigan game, even though it's going to be super important, it's not going to be as important anymore because you can still make the playoff and still win a national title even if you don't win that game. And that goes also for Michigan. Michigan's not going to be over there biting their nails as much and freaking out. It'll still be a very important game, but not as important because it was life and death when there was only 4 teams allowed. And when it was 2, it was really life and death. So anyway, I'm going to be watching this Ryan Day thing very closely and kind of seeing how this goes because that concerns me when an offensive coordinator gets brought in. And by the way, Petrino just got brought in to help out Sam Pittman and be the offensive coordinator at Arkansas. Mark my words, that's a Trojan horse. I'll bet you almost anything Sam Pittman, unless they play well, he's going to get fired this year. And it wouldn't shock me at all if Bobby Petrino winds up being the head coach at Arkansas because he had a good run there short of the motorcycle issue. That didn't work out so well for him. But there's a lot of fond memories there for a lot of the fans and for Bobby Petrino. So don't be shocked if that's not a Trojan horse. Anyway, always beware when an offensive coordinator gets brought in. That's usually the step right before letting somebody go. Now, Ryan Day will not have any trouble getting another coaching job if Ohio State makes the mistake of firing him, which I think it would absolutely be a mistake. The guy recruits like crazy. I think y'all just picked up another 5-star cornerback today. So I would give him plenty of time, and I'd also wait and see what happens at Michigan. You don't even know if Harbaugh is going to be there next year. There's the Chargers are coming after him hard. They want him as their head coach, and there's lots of things that can happen. They might win the national title, and then he gets suspended, 3 or 6 months from now for a year, and then he leaves. It's really hard to say what's going to happen. I can tell you if they do suspend him for like a year and then give him a show cause, if they stick with him, and I think they'll try, they'll just put a assistant coach in charge for a year and wait that 12 months. And then when the suspension is over and pretend this is the national title, they'll walk right up to the NCAA and say, do you want some cause? Because of this. That's why. This is actually my participation trophy for millennials, and it really comes in handy sometimes after a loss. But just assume that's a national title. Anyway, that's probably their best bet for Michigan, but I don't know if he'll sit for a year. That might really irritate him. He's not the type of guy that's, he's an A-type personality. He has to be on the go all the time, and I don't see him sitting for a year if he doesn't want to. That's just, that's his personality. So anyway, I'll be watching this very closely. That does concern me, him bringing in an offensive coordinator. Maybe that'll be best for him long term, though, but it's risky, no doubt. All right, now we're going to talk about Nico, and we're going to talk about his early odds for winning the Heisman in 2024. And this is on Rocky Top Insider by Ryan Schubert. And, of course, it's talking about his first start against Iowa. Iowa has a very good defense, and they really have a really good front seven. And Nico scored 4 touchdowns. He threw for 1 and ran for 3. That's that dual threat that is so key to a quarterback being successful in today's college game. If you're just a statue back there, you're not going to last because you're going to end up having to settle for field goals and things like that. We didn't have to settle for a single field goal in that game. That's why we won 35-7. Now, the defense scored 7 of it, but anyway, we just scored touchdowns. And there's a huge difference between 7 and 3, and it's not just mathematics. When you score a touchdown, you get the momentum. You take momentum where you build momentum, and it depresses the other side, and it gets your fan base excited. So those touchdowns are critical, and a dual threat quarterback will get that for you. So Nico, look, it was his very first game against a top 10 defense and goes out there and scores 4 touchdowns. That's amazing. And he really was kind of running for his life a little bit. We had 3 offensive linemen out, 2 of our tackles, and our 2 running backs were our 3rd and 4th guy. So our top 2 guys are going to the NFL, and they were really good at picking up blitzes. Unfortunately, Dylan Sampson and Cam Sutton aren't as good at that. And Sampson, I don't know what he was doing on that one play where he let a guy come in, a linebacker blitzed, and just absolutely hammered Nico. That can't happen. Sampson has got to block, period. They need to really emphasize that with him. That's probably why he was number 3 in the pecking order, even though he might have been the best running back. So he's going to have to block. But I know that Tennessee's out there trying to pick up 2 offensive linemen right now and some more defensive backs, which is where we're really weak. And we've got some guys that were injured that'll be back also come next fall. But anyway, looking at his odds, he did win the MVP for the Citrus Bowl, by the way. And he's tied for 5th for best odds to win the award. Let's see, Quinn Ewers, Carson Beck, and Jalen Milroe are the co-favorites to win the award. Then there's Oregon's Dylan Gabriel. He's number 4. And then I think we're probably tied with, we're tied with Michigan's J.J. McCarthy, who is he's a good quarterback. Oklahoma's Jackson Arnold, and Texas A&M's Connor Wagman, who got hurt this year. And I think that might have cost Jimbo his job. Had he stayed healthy, Jimbo would probably still be there. And then Nico, so tied for 5th. That's really good for a redshirt freshman. And look, he was the number 1 player on some boards coming in 2023, so I'm not shocked by that. Everybody kind of saw the glimpses of what he could do. He's got great pocket presence. He's got escapability, which you wouldn't expect from a guy 6'6". He's actually really quick and elusive. He does need to get some quality live snaps. That game helped him a bunch. Now the coaches can really sit down with him and say, here's where you made mistakes. Here's where you did great. You need live game snaps to be able to really teach somebody how to play the position, because then they'll go, oh yeah, now I really see it. Live game and practice are totally different. The speed, just everything is different. And also the backup role when you're coming in the 4th quarter, that's not squat. That's not near what you need. You need live game reps in games that matter. And he just got a really good one. And the fact that he scored 4 touchdowns is fantastic. MVP, first game ever, really, against a top 10 defense. People see it. That's why he's number 5. Look, these are people that make a living at betting, and they put him at number 5. So we can say this is too early. I don't think it's too early at all. I would have played him much earlier. I would have had him getting live game snaps about halfway through the season, but that's me. So we'll be watching this very closely, and I'm going to be watching this Ryan Day thing also. And if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Lets me know to continue to cover my Vols and all the other big stories that are going on out there. And if you've not subscribed, it's on your right, my left. Just hit this little button. Cost you nothing. What are you waiting for?
What are we waiting for? Take this!
And right over here is the most recent video YouTube thinks you'll enjoy based on viewing history. And we'll see you next time with Sports Talk Jay.